Welcome to the Peak Performance and Peak Satisfaction podcast with Master Executive Coach Sherry Gregoff. Sherry helps business people perform better, get rewarded handsomely, and actually enjoy their work. After having her own career turnaround, she now helps other high-powered business professionals experience the same. Join the movement to work differently.
Welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here. Networking. Cue cringe for most business people. Networking can seem like a dreaded chore, uncomfortable, and inauthentic. In this episode, I will explain why, and then how to embrace it, master it, and actually enjoy connecting with others. Before we jump in, I want to shout out one of my clients who had a win in this area. Here is the quote from him. Sherry showed me how I was leaving my usual attitude and confidence at the door before I went into networking events. By owning this part of my leadership role and removing this limit on my success, I was able to intentionally show up my best for a very successful event, and the time in conversation flew by. This client dreaded how energy-intensive networking was for him, feeling like the farther he got in his career, the less he was up for networking. When we explored what was underneath the dread, one of the sources was anxiety around not having the answers to questions that would come up, or the conversations just not going great. This anxiety had him looking for the exits, even as he was in conversation. It felt like a mandatory task that he had to do with people he didn't know. We determined that this was concentrated time to spend with key stakeholders that he doesn't usually get much time with. We pinpointed the insight that he could learn from the conversations and how it would inform his business approach and priorities. This made it feel more purposeful, and he felt more motivated to make use of the opportunity to connect, rather than withdrawing as soon as he could. He acknowledged that this was just a default mode he had gotten used to, having this negative perspective on networking. We considered how embracing this opportunity might explode his career and business success. Each bit of practice would chip away at future anxiety for future events, and eventually networking would be just what he does, like second nature. He could choose to own his role and being the face of his function. He could bring the energy and excellence from every other part of his role to this dimension as well. Networking could be a place where he was his consistent self, and he could be the most powerful energy in that room too. His usual demeanor and outlook could follow him to this environment, and it would attract people to him. We visualized it working really well, getting deep into conversations, and it happening exactly the way he would want it to play out. Then he did exactly that. At the next 2 events he attended, it broke that unproductive networking routine for good and up-leveled his career. Similar victories are shared by all of my clients, and I have experienced it too in my own career turnaround. So let's hop to today's podcast content and get you on your way to experiencing this also. Tell me if this sounds familiar. You've got a networking event this week. Maybe it's a user conference. Maybe it's an industry conference. It's got you feeling some dread and anticipation. You may picture yourself with a tiny plate and glass, looking around a sea of faces that you don't recognize, and wishing you had someone to talk to. Or maybe you see yourself stuck with someone that you would rather not be with, but are trying to find your opening, maybe when they take a breath, and trying to find the right words to not insult them, to make your great escape. Maybe you fantasize about stepping out to a quiet hallway or outdoor patio where you can have a minute to yourself to regroup and reset. Or even better, that you make the bold call to make a quick exit and head back to your hotel room for room service and peace. It's all good. I have felt this way. I speak to many people who feel this way. You know how we do things here. We are going to find the problem behind the problem that you can't unsee. Then you'll be on to yourself when you start to feel all the feels, or do the exact thing that you didn't want to do when it comes to networking opportunities. I'm going to give you a different perspective on networking and new strategies to transform your experience with it. Brace yourself that we can turn you into a master networker and shift the whole misconception about networking on its head. By the end of this podcast episode, you will be on your way to experiencing this turnaround. Let's dig into what causes this networking dread. It starts at the root with our perspective, the mindset we have, what we believe about the situation, about us, and about other people. And we are going to investigate these further, not even to debate the truth or the facts, but most importantly, whether it's helpful to you or not to keep on repeating these sentences, these thoughts, this perspective to yourself. Unhelpful mindset number 1. Networking is uncomfortable because the people and/or setting is unfamiliar. I like to go where everybody knows my name. I'm comfortable. I have my people. I know what I'll do there. I know who I'll talk to. I know what to expect. It's the uncertainty around networking that can incite dread as you approach networking, because you may not know the people you will talk to, and it may not be the setting you are used to. Let's pause right up front here to answer this question. Why would we want to network? Why would this networking be good for us? Why would the unfamiliar and uncertainty be worth it? This is a core question. Answer it for yourself really quickly right here. Okay, I'll give you some responses to pile onto whatever you came up with. I'm head of customer success, so meeting users at our conference is part of my core job. This makes it more familiar and certain. I may learn way more in a short period of time about my customer or my industry than I do on most days. I will connect with people that I didn't know before, which may open up opportunities for both of us. From here, let's press on to what is certain and familiar, even as we are networking. I know I am an expert on the topic that I bring, more so than those who may want to ask questions of me. I know at the end of the day, I will be proud that I showed up and will have my own back. This is just a decision, by the way, on how you treat yourself, whether you showed up perfectly or not. I can create moments during, before, and after the event to mentally regroup and recharge and refill my cup. I am certain I will know more than I did at the start of the event, from meeting people and learning from them, whether it's directly relevant to my business or purely learning about them as a person. And now I have a new relationship. Let's go to another common mindset about networking that isn't so helpful. Mindset number 2. We tell ourselves it is superficial, small talk, robotic, and hollow. This can be a pretty judgy take, and it's a way to let ourselves off the hook, too. If we are too good for the superficial conversation, it's like opting out. We might feel this way stepping into the pantry at the office, going to a cocktail party, or even in the first 5 minutes of any conference call. I am going to lay down a challenge here. Be the person that takes the conversation deeper, that shifts it from superficial to deeper connection. It's so easy to keep things light, but it also can feel hollow too. So I invite you to go deeper. When the colleague says things have been tough, ask what's been going on to make it so tough, or what's the hardest part. When a colleague says the weekend was heavy, ask them if they would like to talk about it. Or when you are tired of the venting session, ask what's one thing that's got them excited or inspired right now. You will notice I suggest questions in each instance. It's an easy way to express interest in the other person and go deeper. I had a client this week tell me that he doesn't like to ask questions of colleagues for fear of being perceived as intrusive. I felt this way for most of my life too. The last thing I would want to do is put someone on their back foot, so I didn't inquire about them. Here's the catch that I discovered. In trying to carefully manage their perception, I hadn't accounted for this approach being received as disinterested. Yikes. That was a backfire that I didn't see coming. I cared so much that I decided not to ask them questions about them for fear of intruding, which led them to believe that I didn't care. With a client this week, we started going incrementally deeper on inviting the connection before business is done in meetings. We acknowledge that weather and weekend are the easily accessible openers, the weekend being a little riskier as it opens up for the other person to share as they choose. That was about as far as he went with colleagues. After getting feedback about being more approachable, we decided to ratchet up to travel, whether past or upcoming, and over to the colleague to respond in the level of detail they were comfortable with, whether business or pleasure. This is one step forward to network more effectively, even at the start of business meetings. When you want to connect more deeply and go beyond questions, you could choose to share something more vulnerable or unexpected yourself. At a networking event, it may be acknowledging an industry development that's got you stumped, or a business goal that you're not sure how to approach. In a one-on-one before getting down to business, it may be opening up about a transition at home that's taken your attention during your personal time. The bottom line here is if things are too superficial for you, you can take it deeper yourself. Unhelpful mindset number 3 is identifying as an introvert. Leadership style assessments can be helpful in understanding ourselves and others. They are great at helping us adjust our approach to tailor to our audience. Sometimes, they give us an identity to hang on to. It can become a blocker. We may tell ourselves that anytime we adjust our style, we're being inauthentic. We may decide, for example, that I'm just not a people person. I don't really like people. On the leadership profiles, I'm not a connector. I'd rather be coding or in a spreadsheet. Friends, don't pigeonhole yourself like this. Don't take on the identity of labels that have been said about you or over you or as a result of a 60-question survey. Rather than adding extra burden to being an introvert in a networking event by telling ourselves we are doing something unnatural or that we don't like people and here we stand with a bunch of them, here is what I would offer. Knowing your introvert tendencies, refill that cup in advance. Get your time alone before things start. Know when your next scheduled break for quiet time alone is. But then, rally by finding inspiration that gets you motivated to connect with others. And remember, you aren't working the whole room. You are talking to one to a few people max at any one time. Don't overstate it to yourself. Introverts are great at connecting one-to-one. It doesn't have to be exhausting. How could you find it energizing instead? More on this to come. Unhelpful mindset number 4 is that we have to find the people we know, someone we could talk to so we're not standing here alone with our shish kebab. Can we just pause for a moment and consider how often meat on a stick is offered at these things? Now listen, I like meat on a stick just as much as the next person, arguably even more. But at a networking event, come on. Okay, so back to it. You're there with your kebab, hoping a familiar face appears soon. I will remind you the irony of this for a moment. Networking is about meeting new people. So if you see new people around, this is a moment to say to yourself, great, this is what I'm here for. Take your pick of who to introduce yourself to. Maybe it's the connector who's found someone already, Or maybe it's the person frantically scanning the crowd for someone they know. You get to choose. But go ahead, meet new people. Because chatting with people you know well and that you see all the time at the networking event just becomes an excuse to grab a drink together on someone else's tab. The last unhelpful mindset, number 5, is the one that can truly repel us from networking. This is a big one. We may have the perception that networking is a euphemism for using other people. We feel pushy that we arrive with an objective that is self-serving. We came to get something from these people, and that feels wrong. I think this is the pervasive subconscious belief that turns us off from anything having to do with networking or building relationships for our own benefit. For this mindset, we are going to dismantle it right now by completely flipping how we think about networking. Most people network to get something they want or need. Let's you and I network to see what we can give to other people, how we can serve them. Hear me out. At an industry networking event, maybe people around us are coming to scope out their next job. It's easy enough for us to consider if we or anyone we know are hiring and put them in touch. That feels good and right and in service of that person. We might find ourselves there one day or have been there ourselves. Way to show up and help someone. At the same industry networking event, you may find people who know they are supposed to mingle there for their careers, but they have no other agenda other than surviving the event without utter shame or exclusion. Look at this like the benches on some elementary school playgrounds that have signage like, need a friend, make a friend. Kind of like that take a penny, leave a penny dish at convenience stores. If you don't know what that is because no one uses pennies anymore, ask AI and be entertained. In that moment, you can be kind and listen to someone. Just really see them. Put them at ease. Make them comfortable. Agree to be a bit awkward together even. In other words, make a friend. I know you may feel like you aren't looking for any new friends, but really, we have an endless well of wanting to be kind to the person in front of us, that if we could just get out of our own way and out of our own head on how awkward it is, or how we don't have the time, or how we're tired of talking, we could just do it and remember how great it feels to help people. When we are at our best, clean and clear from the mind drama of each of these mindsets we just covered, it's actually natural. How did Julia Roberts' character put it that time? Just a girl standing in front of a boy, asking him to like her. That about sums up the human race. So when you are face to face, even with a complete stranger, try to remember the innate value they hold as another human. Get curious to find it, even under the initial perceptions that might give you pause, or even have you recoiling at a networking event. This person doesn't seem like me, not my vibe, not my level, probably doesn't have anything to offer me. Instead, search for what makes them tick. What's their unique talent? What experiences have shaped their career and their life? What do they have to share or teach you in this moment? How could you bless them in this moment? Maybe it's being a listening ear. Maybe it's giving them a confidence boost by relating to each other. Maybe it's help with a job search. Maybe it's practice with their pitch. Maybe an idea to refine their pitch. Maybe a new use for their product or service that they hadn't thought of yet. Maybe it's a new way to collaborate together. Maybe it's to hear their feedback on your company or your product or service. Maybe it's an offer to help them formally or to just catch up outside the event. Once we take this perspective, it opens up a multitude of ways to help them that are available to us right at that moment. Let's turn to some more helpful mindsets that we can intentionally practice about networking. Many of us are intellectually curious, continuous learners, lifelong learners. If you've got that in your LinkedIn bio, then say I. So why wouldn't we be curious about people? We are complicated beings. There is a lot to learn, a lifetime of learning, in fact. How could every individual you encounter represent untapped knowledge, a life walked in shoes you have never tried on? You may need to look for it underneath the uniform worn or business jargon spoken in said industry, but the challenge is there to get curious and learn about the person you meet. Another helpful mindset is that all you need to do is show up and be yourself. If you show up as yourself, it doesn't have to be tiring. Remind yourself that people want to see the real you, not the robot you posing as someone else. This may seem foreign these days as filters are applied to make us look like someone else. But back to that element of curiosity, it's hard to be intriguing when you are pretending to be somebody else. Authenticity is magnetic, especially in a sea of people trying to look and sound like each other. So don't feel tired about the idea of putting on a mask when networking. Instead, be you. You do you. It feels easier already. The next helpful mindset is to simply be open to connection. Every conversation has a completely unknown ending. When we approach curiously, interested, and unattached, we can be open to opportunities to help them, to purely make a connection, to share input or experience, to explain what you help people with in your business. If you go into a networking situation selling something, selling your offer, selling your opinion, selling that you are kind of a big deal, it will feel a lot like convincing, which isn't pleasant for you or your listener. So just be open for connection instead, really seeing each other, really listening. And be the strongest energy in the room. You don't have to leave your leadership persona at the office. You bring it with you wherever you go. Bring the same drive and excellence from the office to this environment. Lastly, you are more of an expert on your space than anyone else. This networking isn't a test to prove yourself or your worth. You know your own value, so you don't need to search for affirmation from strangers to feel sufficient. So now we've got some more helpful mindsets. Now it's time to turn to strategies, actions you can take in the moment to make networking more enjoyable and more fruitful. First, ask them about themselves and aim to take up less airtime in the conversation than the other person. People love to talk about themselves, but actually tune in as they do. Ask the pointed or unexpected question rather than the one to just pass the time. In this way, you are engaging and it keeps you focused on the other person. This is one of the keys of networking. Stay focused on other people rather than yourself. Care about what they think of business or life even, but not what they think of you. Networking can be an activity where we tend to get super self-absorbed. What can I get out of this event or the people at it? This tends to be a non-starter in so many ways. Approach networking as how you can show up your best for other people, figure out what they need in that moment, and help them. It's counterintuitive, and it's also a prerequisite. Want to advance your business or career? Go to networking events with one mission: to meet and learn more about other people to figure out how you can help them. Was that the surprise twist you didn't see coming in this podcast episode? It bears repeating. To advance your business or advance your career, there is one thing to do. Whether that is at a networking event or anywhere else, meet people and learn more about them to see how you could help them. That sounds a lot like service, doesn't it? Serving others, helping others, shifting the focus from you and your self-interest over to them. That's when things work well. That's when business is easy. In practice, a great way to do that is to be bold enough to strike up conversation with people, ask questions about them, and truly listen. By the way, you can practice this anywhere. I do it on the elevator, in line at the supermarket. Just ask my family. They love it. Challenge yourself to really see people and to even remember they are the most important human to someone else, a son or daughter, a spouse, a friend, a parent to someone else. They are worth pausing to see and connect with. Let's turn to how this strategy shows up in a large networking event where typically everyone wants to get something from everyone else. There you are, showing up ready to give a listening ear, ask curious questions, share information, experience, and your contacts. This will feel different. Most networking events can be like the same side of a magnet, with people repelling each other. You will be the single person who came to give to others rather than to get something. You will be the single magnet turned in the direction that attracts everyone around you. This is a way more fun experience at an event and way more fruitful. Next, approach each conversation unattached to where it will lead. There's a bit of rolling the die here, the unknown that can make it kind of fun and keep you on your toes. You have no idea where this will land, but are open to exploring why your path crossed with this person. When the conversation does end, close it with a next step. Connect on LinkedIn, a business card, or exchanging numbers or contact cards. Even if this person has no idea what you do because your conversation was wholly focused on them, stay in touch. You never know what may come up, and you may think of each other for help. The next strategy is one to take before you even go to network. Consider how this networking could be far more impactful than your normal business activities. In a 360 on a CEO I recently coached, his key business partners encouraged him to network more, noting the business deals he wanted to do happen on the golf course, not through booking time through an assistant. Because that was unfamiliar to him, and he tended to be no-nonsense and laser-focused, he was limiting himself from uncovering additional business opportunities by just connecting with people outside of the office with enough space for the conversation to go in different directions. So, before you dismiss networking as something that takes you away from your day job, consider how it might be the best use of time to make progress in your day job or progress your career. Networking and connecting with people and building relationships is an investment. By investing time getting to know and help others, it actually returns that investment in your own development and ability to innovate, which in the end advances your business and career as a happy byproduct. The last strategy I touched on briefly before with my introverts. Get the self-care you need to show up your best for other people. Take the breaks to decompress from being on, and manage your mindset so it doesn't feel like it takes so much energy. Set your stretches for how long you will go without a break to yourself, and pump yourself up that you are capable of having engaging conversations for that long before refilling your cup. As always, if you could use help applying this to your own situation, message me to do so in our next coaching session together. If you're not a current client, book your free consultation with me, and let's do this together. Until next time.
Looking for support in applying the principles and strategies in today's episode? Sherry coaches clients one-on-one as their trusted confidant and advisor, helping each client create the work and life they had only dreamed of. To schedule your complimentary career strategy session, go to sherrygregoff.com/apply to book time with her today. It's one simple step that can change everything.